I stared at my phone, reading Dad's text for the third time. Your sister's engagement party is Saturday. The Vanderbilts are hosting at their estate. Don't embarrass us. The Vanderbilts. Of course it was them. I hadn't heard that name in 7 years, not since Brooklyn Vanderbilt and I graduated from Yale together. We'd been roommates junior and senior year, stayed up countless nights studying for the same exams, dreamed about changing the world together. Then we graduated, and our paths split. She married into old money, literally married a Vanderbilt, took his name. I took a job that paid $58,000 a year. My phone buzzed again. Mom, this time, please try to look presentable. These are important people. Brooklyn's husband is being considered for the Senate. I glanced down at my work clothes, the same black pantsuit I'd worn 3 times this week. Yeah, Mom. I'll try not to embarrass you. The thing is, my family never understood my career choice. My sister Emma became a corporate attorney at 26, made partner at 31. She drives a Tesla, lives in a penthouse, and vacations in Bali. I drive a 10-year-old Honda, and my last vacation was a weekend at my friend's cabin upstate. Why do you waste your talent? Dad asked me once. You graduated top of your class from Yale. Emma makes $400,000 a year. You make... what? 60? It's not about the money, I'd said. He'd laughed. Actually laughed. Everything's about money, Rebecca. That's a lesson you'll learn eventually. That was 3 years ago. I stopped trying to explain after that. Saturday arrived too fast. I pulled up to the Vanderbilt estate in Connecticut, and estate was the right word. Wrought iron gates, a circular driveway that could fit 20 cars, a mansion that looked like it belonged in a European country, not Fairfield County. I sat in my car for 5 minutes, gathering courage. You can do this, I whispered to myself. It's just a few hours. Smile, congratulate Emma, leave. The party was already in full swing when I walked in. Everyone looked like they'd stepped out of a Ralph Lauren catalog. I spotted Emma immediately. She was holding court near the champagne fountain, her ring catching the light. It was massive, probably cost more than I'd made in the last 2 years combined. Rebecca. Mom materialized beside me, her smile tight. You came. I wasn't sure you'd make it. I said I would. Yes, well. She glanced at my dress, a simple navy shift I'd bought on sale. You look nice. Translation. You look poor. Where's Dad? I ask. Talking to the Vanderbilts. They're wonderful people, Rebecca. Absolutely wonderful. Brooklyn has been so generous, helping with the party planning. Did you know she sits on 3 charity boards? 3. That's great, Mom. She's really made something of herself. Unlike me, she didn't say it, but I heard it anyway. I'm going to get a drink, I said. I was reaching for a glass when I heard that familiar laugh I hadn't heard in 7 years. Oh my God. Becca? I turned. Brooklyn Vanderbilt stood 3 feet away, looking like money itself. Designer dress, perfect hair, that smile that had sold out Madison Square Garden for her husband's last fundraiser. Brooklyn, hi. I can't believe you're here. She pulled me into a hug, and for a second, it felt like we were 21 again, pulling all-nighters in our dorm room. When I heard Emma's sister was coming, I thought, but I wasn't sure it was you. Oh my God, how long has it been? 7 years. Since graduation. Too long. Way too long. She stepped back. Studying me. You look amazing. What have you been up to? Last I heard, you were working for the government? Still am. That's right. You wanted to work in justice. I remember. Are you still doing that? What was it? Public defender work. Something like that. Mom appeared again, this time with Dad in tow. His expression when he saw me talking to Brooklyn was pure calculation, like he was already figuring out how to leverage this connection. Brooklyn. Darling. Mom gushed. I see you've met our Rebecca. Met her? Susan, Rebecca and I were roommates at Yale. We were inseparable. Mom blinked. You were? Best friends. I can't believe you never mentioned your daughter went to Yale, Susan. Becca was brilliant. Top of our class. Brooklyn turned to me. Remember that constitutional law final? Professor Harrison said it was the best exam he'd read in 15 years. You remember that? I asked. Of course I remember, You were my inspiration, Becca. Always talking about justice, about making a real difference. Not just making money, but actually changing lives. She laughed. While I was worried about job offers and starting salaries, you were already planning how to reform the system from the inside. Dad's jaw was tight. Mom looked like she'd been slapped. Reform the system? Mom said weakly. Rebecca wanted to be a prosecutor, Brooklyn said. She used to say that justice wasn't about defending the innocent or attacking the guilty, it was about making sure the system worked for everyone, equally. I thought it was the most noble thing I'd ever heard. A prosecutor, Dad repeated. His tone suggested I'd said I wanted to be a clown. She must have done it too, Brooklyn continued. You don't spend 4 years talking about something that passionately and then give up on it. So where are you working, Becca? State prosecutor's office? The music seemed to fade. I could feel my parents' eyes on me. Feel that familiar weight of their disappointment. Actually, Brooklyn. There you are. A tall man in an expensive suit appeared, taking Brooklyn's arm. The Chamberlains want to discuss the gala. Oh. Right. I'm sorry. Brooklyn squeezed my hand. Don't go anywhere, okay? We have so much to catch up on. I want to hear everything about your work. She disappeared into the crowd. The silence that followed was deafening. Yale roommates, Mom said faintly. You never told us Brooklyn Vanderbilt was your roommate. You never asked about my college friends. A prosecutor, Dad said. She thinks you're a prosecutor. I am a prosecutor. You work for the government, he snapped. Making $60,000 a year. That's not. Susan. Robert. Brooklyn's husband appeared, all white teeth and firm handshakes. I wanted to introduce you to Judge Morrison. He's very interested in the hospital fundraiser you mentioned. They left. Had to network. Had to schmooze. Had to maintain their image. I found a quiet corner and checked my phone. 3 missed calls from work. I stepped outside to call back. Reynolds, my boss answered on the first ring. Where are you? Connecticut. My sister's engagement party. What's wrong? We got a break in the Castellano case. Martinez found a witness who'll testify. But there's a problem. Witness is spooked, threatening to run. We need someone to convince her to stay, and you're the best we've got at witness protection negotiations. When? Now. She's got a flight booked for tomorrow morning. It's now or never. I looked back at the mansion, at the party I was supposed to be enduring for my family's sake. Text me the address. I'm 20 minutes out. You're leaving your sister's party. The case is more important. He was quiet for a second. This is why you're the best, Reynolds. I'll text you now. I hung up and turned to go and nearly walked into Emma. Leaving, already? She asked. Her tone was acid. Let me guess. Work called. Because your little government job is so important. Emma, do you know how embarrassing this is? Dad pulled strings to get the Vanderbilts to host my party, and you can't even stay for 2 hours? There's an emergency. A witness in a major case. There's always an emergency with you. Always something more important than family. She stepped closer. You know what Dad said? He said you were his biggest disappointment. His daughter who threw away a Yale degree to make poverty wages. And you know what? He's right. The words should have hurt. Maybe they would have. A few years ago. Instead, I just felt tired. I'm happy for you, Emma. I really am. I hope you have a beautiful wedding. I left her standing there. The witness meeting took 4 hours. 4 hours of careful negotiation, of building trust, of explaining how protection works and why her testimony mattered. By the time I got her to agree to stay, it was almost midnight. I drove home feeling lighter somehow. Like I'd done something that mattered. My phone had 17 texts. 12 from Mom, 5 from Dad. All variations of the same message. How could I embarrass them like this? How could I be so selfish? Did I have any idea how much damage I'd done? I didn't respond to any of them. 3 weeks later, Emma's wedding arrived. I wasn't going to go, couldn't face another round of disappointment and shame, but my younger brother Marcus called. Please come, he begged. They're already mad at you. If you skip the wedding, they'll never forgive you. They've already never forgiven me, Marcus. I know. But. Please? For me? So I went. Rented a dress I couldn't afford, showed up early, planned to sit in the back and leave during the reception. The venue was even more ridiculous than the engagement party. Some historic mansion in Newport, Rhode Island. The kind of place where Vanderbilts actually used to live. I was finding my seat when I heard her voice again. Becca, Brooklyn, in a lavender dress that probably cost more than my rent, was rushing over with a huge smile. I'm so glad you're here. I felt terrible about the engagement party. We barely got to talk. Come sit with me. I saved you a spot. Brooklyn, I can't. Please? We have so much to catch up on. Besides, your family is all sitting together up front. And, she lowered her voice. Between you and me, your mom keeps trying to set me up with her book club friends. I need backup. I laughed despite myself. Okay. But just for the ceremony, we sat together in the middle section. Brooklyn immediately started filling me in on her life, the charity work, the political campaigns, the exhausting schedule of being married to someone grooming for Senate. It's wonderful, she said. But sometimes I miss simpler times. Like when we'd order pizza at 2 a.m. and argue about tort reform. You always said tort reform was boring. It is boring. But you made it interesting. She paused. I've missed you, Becca. I've missed having someone around who cares about things that actually matter. Your husband is running for Senate. You're literally shaping policy. I'm hosting fundraisers and shaking hands. It's not the same as actually doing the work. Not like what you do. Brooklyn, I'm a prosecutor making $60,000 a year. You sit on charity boards and influence senators. We're not in the same league. She looked at me strangely. Do you really believe that? The ceremony started before I could answer. Emma looked beautiful. The wedding was perfect. Everything was exactly as my family had dreamed. I slipped out during the cocktail hour, planning to skip the reception entirely. I was almost to my car when my phone rang. Work again. Reynolds, sorry to call on a Saturday, but we've got a situation. Senator Whitmore's chief of staff was just arrested for fraud. FBI wants our office to coordinate prosecution. Senator Whitmore? That's federal level. Yeah. And the U.S. attorney specifically requested you to lead. Said you're the only prosecutor she trusts with something this sensitive. My hands started shaking. The U.S. attorney requested me, personally, by name. She wants you at the briefing tomorrow morning, 9 sharp. Can you make it? Yes. Absolutely yes. I hung up and just stood there for a minute, letting it sink in. The U.S. attorney knew my name. Requested me specifically. Maybe I wasn't such a disappointment after all. I was still standing there when Brooklyn found me. There you are. Everyone's asking where you went. She stopped. Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I just got called to brief the U.S. attorney tomorrow. On a federal case. Her eyes went wide. Wait. The U.S. attorney? As in federal prosecutor? Yeah. Becca. She was staring at me like she'd never seen me before. What exactly do you do? I'm a prosecutor. Like I said. But you work for the government, making $60,000. She stopped. Oh my God. When you said prosecutor, I thought you meant state level. Entry level. I did. 5 years ago. And now? Assistant U.S. attorney, federal level. Southern District of New York. The silence stretched between us. Becca, Brooklyn said slowly. Do you have any idea what that means? SDNY is the most prestigious prosecutor's office in the country. It's where the biggest cases happen. It's where, she laughed in disbelief. It's where careers are made. You prosecute Wall Street fraud, organized crime, terrorism cases. When they're important enough, yes. Important enough, Becca. You're literally one of the most powerful prosecutors in the country. The cases you work on make national news. The people you put away. She shook her head. Why didn't you tell anyone? Why didn't you tell your family? They never asked. They just assumed I was failing because I wasn't making corporate lawyer money. But you work for the government. Yeah. And last year, I helped prosecute the Castellano crime family. Put away a dozen mobsters who'd been untouchable for 20 years. The year before that, I took down a hedge fund manager who'd defrauded investors out of $300 million. 3 months ago, I helped secure justice for 23 victims of a trafficking ring. Brooklyn just stared at me. The trafficking case made the front page of the New York Times. I continued. My boss said it was the most important case the office had worked on in 5 years. But my family thinks I wasted my Yale degree because I'm not buying a penthouse. Oh my God. Becca, it's fine, really. I stopped trying to explain a long time ago. It's not fine. Brooklyn's voice was rising. You're out here changing lives, getting dangerous people off the streets, protecting victims who can't protect themselves, and your family thinks you're a failure. In their defense, I do make $60,000 a year. You make? She stopped. Wait, federal prosecutors start at 60, but with your experience and level. She was calculating. You must be making at least twice that by now. About $130,000. Plus federal benefits, which they'd know if they ever asked about your actual job instead of just assuming. Brooklyn. No. This is insane. Come on. She grabbed my arm. We're going back to that reception, and you're going to tell your family exactly who you are and what you do. I don't need to prove anything to them. This isn't about proving anything. This is about stopping them from treating you like a failure when you're actually a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm just doing my job. Your job is putting criminals in prison and keeping people safe. That's literally the definition of a hero. She was pulling me back toward the venue. Come on, your mom was just asking me if I knew any law firms that might hire you. I'm not letting that slide. The reception was in full swing. Emma and her new husband were having their first dance. Mom and Dad were at the head table, smiling for pictures. Brooklyn marched straight up to them. Susan. Robert. I need to borrow you for just one moment. They followed us to a quieter corner, looking confused. Brooklyn, darling, is everything all right? Mom asked. Actually, I have to confess something. I made a mistake at the engagement party. Brooklyn's voice was loud enough that nearby guests were starting to listen. When I said Becca was a prosecutor, I didn't realize she was being modest. Modest? Dad's tone was skeptical. She didn't tell me she's an assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. Mom blinked. A what? Federal prosecutor. One of the most prestigious positions in the country. She prosecutes major federal crimes, organized crime, white-collar fraud, corruption cases that make national news. The nearby guests were definitely listening now. I could see heads turning. There must be some mistake, Dad said. Rebecca works for the state. I work for the federal government, I said quietly. I have for 3 years. Before that, I was with the Manhattan DA's office. But you make $130,000 a year. Plus benefits. Plus the knowledge that the work I do actually matters. Mom's mouth was opening and closing like a fish. Brooklyn wasn't done. Last year, Becca helped prosecute the Castellano organized crime family. That case was in every major newspaper. Remember? The mob trial everyone was talking about? Dad's face had gone pale. That was. You were involved in that? I was second chair, I said. Under the lead prosecutor. Second chair on a case that big, at her age, means she's being groomed for major things, Brooklyn said. And apparently, she just got called to brief the U.S. attorney tomorrow on a case involving a senator. Which, Susan, Robert, means your daughter is trusted with cases that could change federal policy. The silence was deafening. A man in a suit had drifted over one of the groomsmen, I thought. Excuse me, did you say you prosecuted the Castellano case? Yes. My firm represented one of the victims in the civil suit afterward. We followed that trial obsessively. The prosecution was brilliant the way you built the case. Got the family to turn on each other. He stuck out his hand. Daniel Martinez. I'm a partner at Sullivan & Cromwell. If you're ever looking to transition to private sector, we'd love to talk. Thank you, but I'm happy where I am, of course. Sorry, I just had to say what you did on that case was legendary. My colleagues still talk about it. He drifted away. Mom found her voice. Why didn't you tell us? I tried. You weren't interested. We thought you were just a regular prosecutor. Making entry-level salary. I was entry-level 5 years ago. But you never asked about promotions or advancement or what cases I was working on. You just assumed I'd failed because I wasn't making corporate money. We didn't know. You didn't care, I said, and the words came out harder than I intended. I'm sorry, Mom, but it's true. You didn't care what I was actually accomplishing because all you saw was my salary compared to Emma's. That's not fair, Dad said. Isn't it? You told me I was your biggest disappointment. Emma said I threw away my Yale degree. Neither of you ever once asked about my actual work. Emma had appeared during this conversation, champagne glass in hand. What's going on? Your sister, Brooklyn said, is apparently one of the most respected federal prosecutors in New York. And your parents had no idea. Emma looked at me. Really looked at me, maybe for the first time in years. Is that true? Yes. The Castellano trial that was you. Second chair, but yes. She set down her champagne glass. Slowly. I remember that trial. Everyone at my firm was talking about it. The prosecution was. She stopped. That was you. Yes, Emma. That was me. My sister, the one who'd called me a disappointment 3 weeks ago, just stared. I need some air, I said. I walked outside, found a bench overlooking the bay. The sun was setting, painting everything gold and pink. Brooklyn found me a few minutes later. I'm sorry, she said, sitting down. I shouldn't have ambushed your parents like that. I was just so angry on your behalf. Don't apologize. Someone needed to say it. For what it's worth, I think what you do is incredible. I spend my days planning fundraisers and smiling for cameras. You spend yours actually fighting for justice. That matters more than any amount of money. Thanks. I mean it. And Becca. I'm sorry. For losing touch after graduation. For not staying friends. We were busy. Different paths. Still, I missed you. I missed having someone around who cared about more than status and appearances. We sat there for a while, watching the sunset. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Dad wants to talk to you. Says it's important. I sighed. Round 2, I guess. But when I went back inside, Dad wasn't angry. He looked old. Tired. Rebecca. Can we talk? We found an empty room off the main hall. I owe you an apology, he said. A big one. Dad. Let me finish. Please. He sat down heavily. I thought success meant money. Security. The things I didn't have growing up. When you took that government job, I thought you were throwing away opportunities, settling for less. I wasn't settling. I was choosing. I know that now. Or I'm starting to. He looked at me. The Castellano case. I remember reading about it, reading about how the prosecution dismantled a crime family that had operated with impunity for decades. I remember thinking, these prosecutors are heroes. They're making the city safer. Dad. I had no idea it was you. My own daughter, doing work that important, and I had no idea because I was too busy being disappointed about your salary. His voice cracked. I'm so sorry, Rebecca. I'm so incredibly sorry. You didn't know. I should have asked. I should have cared enough to ask. He stood up, walked to the window. You know what Emma said to me just now? She said you're doing work that actually matters. That prosecuting criminals and protecting victims is worth more than any corporate career. She said she wished she'd chosen that path instead of chasing money. Emma said that. She did. And she's right. You were right all along. It's not about the money. I never said money wasn't important. But you said it wasn't everything. And I laughed at you. He turned back to me. I'm so proud of you, Rebecca. Prouder than I've ever been. And I'm so sorry I didn't tell you that before. I felt tears starting. Dad. He hugged me. Actually hugged me, for the first time in years. I love you, he said. And I'm sorry I made you feel like you had to prove your worth. You're extraordinary. You always have been. We stood there for a long moment. When we pulled apart, Mom was in the doorway, crying. I'm sorry too, she whispered. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. She joined the hug, and then Marcus appeared, and Emma still in her wedding dress, and suddenly my whole family was there, holding each other. I love you guys, I said. Even when you're disappointed in me. Never again, Emma said fiercely. Never again will I let anyone make you feel less than. You're amazing, Becca. You're saving lives. Just doing my job. Stop being modest, Marcus laughed. My sister is a badass federal prosecutor. I'm going to tell everyone. We stood there together, and for the first time in years, I felt like they actually saw me. The rest of the reception was a blur. People kept coming up to talk to me about the Castellano case, about federal prosecution, about justice and law and making a difference. Brooklyn's husband pulled me aside and said if I ever wanted to brief him on criminal justice reform, he'd be honored. Emma found me later, during the last dance. I'm sorry, she said, for everything I said at the engagement party. I was cruel. You were honest. I was wrong. You're not a disappointment. You're my hero. She smiled through tears. I make $400,000 a year defending corporations. You make a fraction of that, and you're actually making the world better. I think you won. It's not a competition, Am. Still. For what it's worth. I'm really proud to be your sister. We danced together, and I felt something shift, like maybe, finally, my family understood. I left the wedding around midnight, exhausted but happy. The briefing with the U.S. attorney the next morning was intense. 3 hours of discussing strategy, witnesses, legal theories. The senator corruption case was going to be massive national headlines, political implications, the whole 9 yards. At the end, the U.S. attorney pulled me aside. Reynolds, I want you as lead on this. Lead? Ma'am, this is a case that could change the political landscape. I know. That's why I want my best prosecutor handling it. That's you. I'm honored. But. No buts. You've proven yourself on Castellano. On the trafficking ring, on every major case you've touched. This is the next step. She smiled. Besides, I'm not getting any younger. I need to start grooming my replacement. Replacement? Someday, yes. You're on the shortlist, Reynolds. Keep doing what you're doing. I walked out of that office in a daze. Lead prosecutor on a case involving a sitting senator, potential future U.S. attorney. My phone rang. Mom. Sweetheart, I wanted to apologize again. Your father and I talked all night, and we want to make this right. We're hosting a family dinner next Sunday, a proper celebration of you and your career. Will you come? Mom, you don't have to. We want to. Please. Let us be proud of you properly. Okay, I said. I'll be there. And Rebecca? We love you. We're so incredibly proud of you. I hung up smiling. Brooklyn called an hour later. So I may have told everyone at my charity board about you, and now they want you to speak at our next event about criminal justice. Is that okay? I might have overstepped. It's fine. I'd be happy to. You're amazing. You know that. Don't ever let anyone make you doubt it again. I'll try. Good. Now go save the world, counselor. I hung up and looked around my small apartment, the place my family thought was evidence of my failure. It wasn't much, but it was mine. And the work I did, the lives I changed, the justice I fought for. That was worth more than any penthouse. My phone buzzed with an email from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Case file attached. Timeline aggressive. We're counting on you, Reynolds. I opened my laptop, cracked my knuckles, and got to work. Because at the end of the day, this was what mattered. Not money, not status, not impressing my family. This work. This justice. This was what I'd chosen. And I'd choose it again, every single time.